In the year 2347, humanity had reached a point where space exploration was no longer just a dream. It was part of daily life. People traveled between planets as easily as they once drove cars. Earth had become a powerful force in the galaxy, and its technology was unmatched. But this progress came with challenges. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. That question was answered one fateful morning when an enormous fleet of alien ships appeared near Earth's orbit. The ships were unlike anything humanity had ever seen. They glowed softly, their surfaces smooth and seamless, as if made from liquid metal. They moved silently, without any visible engines or thrusters. The sight of them filled people with both awe and fear. News spread quickly, and within hours, every screen on Earth displayed images of the mysterious fleet. Governments around the world held emergency meetings to decide what to do next. The Galactic Council, a group of advanced civilizations from across the galaxy, sent a delegation to speak with Earth's leaders. Their leader, an elder named Zoran, stepped forward to address the United Nations. His appearance was strange but not frightening. He stood tall, with shimmering blue skin and large wise eyes. His voice echoed calmly through the assembly hall as he spoke. "We come in peace," he said. "Our goal is to work together, to share knowledge and resources for the benefit of all." But humanity was not ready to trust. General Nathan Brooks, a stern man with years of military experience, listened carefully to Zoran's words. Beside him sat Ambassador Laura Hayes, a skilled diplomat known for her sharp mind. Both of them exchanged skeptical looks. To them, the Council's arrival felt too sudden, too convenient. Why now? Why after centuries of silence? Laura stood up to respond. Her voice was firm but polite. "Your offer is appreciated," she began. "However, humanity has faced many unexplained events over the years. Disappearances, strange phenomena, even disasters. We have reason to believe your kind may be involved." Murmurs rippled through the room as others nodded in agreement. Laura continued, "Before we can consider your proposal, reparations must be made. You owe us answers and accountability." Zoran tilted his head, clearly surprised by the demand. "We understand your concerns," he replied, "but these accusations are unfounded. Our intentions are pure. We seek only harmony." Despite his calm tone, the tension in the room grew thicker. General Brooks leaned forward, his expression hard. "Harmony doesn't come freely," he said. "Not when we don't know who you really are, or what you want." The meeting ended without resolution. Outside, crowds gathered, debating what they had heard. Some believed humanity should accept the Council's offer, while others thought it was a trap. In a lab far away, scientist Daniel Carter watched the news with growing concern. He turned to his colleague, Rachel Morgan, and said, "Something about this feels wrong. Too perfect. We need to tread carefully." Rachel nodded. "Agreed. But with emotions running high, I'm not sure anyone will listen to reason." As the day turned into night, the alien fleet remained in orbit, watching and waiting. Humanity had refused the Council's plea for peace, but at what cost? No one knew what the future held, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never be the same again. The days following the meeting with the Galactic Council were filled with tension and uncertainty. News of humanity's refusal to accept the Council's peace offer spread quickly, sparking heated debates across the globe. Some people supported General Nathan Brooks and Ambassador Laura Hayes, believing that trusting the aliens would be a mistake. Others argued that rejecting their offer could lead to disaster. The division grew deeper as more information about the Council's arrival came to light. In a small laboratory hidden beneath the mountains of Colorado, scientist Daniel Carter worked tirelessly alongside his colleague Rachel Morgan. They had spent years studying anomalies in space, strange energy readings, and unexplained phenomena that often coincided with reports of alien activity. Now they believed they might have found something significant. Late one night, as rain pattered against the windows, Daniel leaned over a glowing screen. pointing at a series of data points. "Look at this," he said, his voice low but urgent. "These energy signatures match patterns we've seen near areas where ships like theirs have been spotted before. It's not natural. Something about their technology is invasive." Rachel frowned, rubbing her tired eyes. "You think they're hiding something? Like what?" Daniel hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "I don't know yet, but it's possible their so-called gifts, the ones Zoran mentioned during the meeting, could be more than they seem. Maybe surveillance tools or even weapons disguised as harmless tech." Rachel sighed, leaning back in her chair. "If you're right, then we're walking into a trap. And no one's going to believe us without proof." Meanwhile, General Brooks was busy preparing Earth's defenses. He didn't trust the Council's intentions and saw their presence as a threat. Military bases around the world went on high alert, and fleets of human ships were deployed to strategic locations in space. Captain Emily Dawson, stationed at the Martian Defense Outpost, received orders to monitor the Council's movements closely. She stood on the observation deck of her station, staring out at the glowing alien ships hovering beyond Mars' orbit. "They haven't moved since they arrived," she muttered to herself, narrowing her eyes. "But why? What are they waiting for?" Back on Earth, public opinion remained divided. Journalist Matthew Klein traveled from city to city, interviewing people affected by the growing crisis. One evening, he met Grace Harper, a young woman who had lost her family when a mysterious explosion destroyed their home years earlier. Many believed the incident was linked to alien interference, though no evidence had ever been found. Grace spoke softly, but passionately, her eyes filled with pain and determination. "I just want answers," she told Matthew. "If these aliens really are responsible, I need to know why. And if they aren't, then maybe it's time we stopped blaming them and started working together." Her words resonated with many, but others dismissed her as naive. Tensions continued to rise as rumors spread about strange occurrences near the alien fleet. Pilots reported unusual energy surges whenever they flew too close, and some claimed their equipment malfunctioned without explanation. Despite these warnings, General Brooks refused to back down. He ordered increased patrols, pushing his forces closer to the Council's ships. One night, Rachel stayed late in the lab, poring over Daniel's findings. As she analyzed the data, a chilling thought crossed her mind. "What if this isn't just about us?" She whispered aloud. "What if whatever's happening affects the entire galaxy?" Daniel looked up from his desk, his expression grim. "Then we're playing a much bigger game than we realized, and we might already be losing." As the days passed, humanity's stance grew firmer. Trust in the Council dwindled, replaced by suspicion and fear. The stage was set for conflict, though few understood the true stakes. Unbeknownst to everyone, the Council's patience was wearing thin, and their next move would change everything. Tensions between humanity and the Galactic Council reached a breaking point when the Council's ships entered restricted space above Mars without permission. The move was seen as a direct provocation, and panic spread among Earth's leaders. Pilots stationed at the Martian Defense Outpost reported strange energy readings coming from the alien vessels. Captain Emily Dawson, who commanded the outpost, immediately alerted her superiors. "Sir, we're detecting unusual activity near the Council fleet," she said over the comms, her voice steady but tense. "Their ships are emitting some kind of pulse. It's interfering with our systems." General Nathan Brooks listened intently from his command center on Earth. His face hardened as he processed the information. "They've crossed a line," he growled. "If they think they can push us around, they're wrong. Prepare your forces for engagement." Emily hesitated. She didn't want to start a war, but orders were orders. She gathered her team in the control room and gave them clear instructions. "We don't fire unless fired upon," she said firmly. "But stay sharp. Something tells me this isn't going to end peacefully." Hours passed, and the situation grew more volatile. The Council's ships remained silent, their glowing hulls casting eerie shadows across the Martian surface. Then, without warning, one of the alien vessels fired a warning shot. A bright beam of light streaked through space, disabling several human satellites orbiting Mars. Alarms blared across the outpost as the crew scrambled to respond. "They attacked us," shouted one of the pilots, his voice trembling with anger. "What are we waiting for?" Emily clenched her fists, torn between following protocol and defending her people. Before she could make a decision, General Brooks' voice crackled over the comms. "This is an act of war," he declared. "Engage the enemy. Show them we won't back down." With heavy hearts, Emily and her squadron launched their fighters. The battle began with a flurry of missiles and energy blasts. Humanity's ships moved quickly, using their smaller size and agility to outmaneuver the larger alien vessels. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, a skilled pilot known for her bravery, led the charge. Her fighter darted through the chaos, firing precise shots that damaged one of the Council cruisers. "Nice shot, Bennett," called another pilot, cheering over the radio. But the Council wasn't defenseless. Their ships unleashed powerful beams of energy, forcing the human forces to retreat temporarily. Explosions lit up the darkness of space as both sides exchanged fire. Despite their initial advantage, humanity suffered heavy losses. Several fighters were destroyed, and many pilots lost their lives. Back on Earth, Ambassador Laura Hayes watched the battle unfold with growing dread. She had argued against escalating the conflict, but her warnings had gone unheeded. Now, as reports of casualties poured in, she felt a deep sense of guilt. "We've made a terrible mistake," she murmured to herself, pacing her office. "This isn't what peace looks like." Meanwhile, Daniel Carter and Rachel Morgan monitored the battle from their lab. They had access to real-time data streams, allowing them to analyze the Council's technology in action. What they discovered shocked them. The Council's weapons weren't designed to destroy. They were meant to disable. Every shot fired by the alien ships targeted engines or communication systems, not life support or crew compartments. "They're trying to avoid killing us," Rachel said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Why would they do that if they wanted to wipe us out?" Dangle frowned, staring at the screen. "Maybe they're not the monsters we think they are, but it's too late to change anything now. The war has already begun." As the fighting raged on, neither side showed signs of backing down. Humanity had refused the Council's plea for peace, and now the galaxy was paying the price. The battle near Mars marked the start of a larger conflict, one that would test the limits of both species and leave scars that might never heal. As the war between humanity and the Galactic Council dragged on, Earth's leaders grew desperate for a way to turn the tide. The Council's ships were powerful, and their technology far surpassed anything humanity had encountered before. Despite their bravery, human forces were struggling to hold their ground. Losses mounted, and morale plummeted. It was clear that continuing the fight with conventional weapons would only lead to defeat. In the midst of this crisis, General Nathan Brooks authorized the use of a secret weapon, Project Eclipse. For years, scientists had been working on a revolutionary network of quantum-powered drones designed to disrupt alien communications and shields. The project was led by Daniel Carter and his team, who had poured their hearts into perfecting the technology. Now, it was time to see if their work would pay off. The first wave of Eclipse drones was deployed during a critical battle near Jupiter. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett led a squadron equipped with the new devices. Her fighter buzzed with energy as she activated the drone network. Tiny, sleek machines detached from her ship and spread out across the battlefield. Within moments, they began emitting pulses of quantum energy that interfered with the Council's systems. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the alien ships faltered. Their glowing shields flickered and vanished, leaving them vulnerable to attack. Cheers erupted among the human pilots as they seized the opportunity. Sarah's squadron launched a coordinated assault, targeting the now exposed cruisers. Explosions lit up the void of space as several Council ships were destroyed. "We did it," shouted one of the pilots over the comms. "Their defenses are down." Sarah allowed herself a brief smile but quickly refocused. "Stay sharp," she ordered. "This isn't over yet." Her caution proved wise. The Council adapted quickly, rerouting power to compensate for the loss of their shields. Their ships retaliated with devastating precision, launching counterattacks that overwhelmed parts of the human fleet. The battle turned chaotic once again, with both sides suffering heavy losses. Still, the Eclipse drones gave humanity a fleeting advantage, a chance to strike back against an otherwise superior enemy. Back on Earth, news of the victory near Jupiter spread like wildfire. People celebrated in the streets, hailing Project Eclipse as a turning point in the war. But not everyone shared in the jubilation. Rachel Morgan watched the reports with mixed feelings. She sat alone in the lab, staring at the screen as images of burning alien ships flashed across it. Her mind raced with questions about the morality of what they had done. Was this really necessary? She asked aloud, though no one was there to answer. How many lives did we just destroy? Daniel entered the room, his face pale with exhaustion. He had spent hours monitoring the battle alongside Rachel. "It's war," he said quietly. "No one wins without sacrifice." Rachel shook her head. "But do we even know why we're fighting? What if there's more to this than we realize?" Her words lingered in the air, unanswered. Meanwhile, General Brooks prepared for the next phase of the conflict. Though the Eclipse drones had provided a temporary edge, he knew the Council wouldn't give up easily. Reports indicated that their fleet was regrouping near Saturn, likely planning a massive counteroffensive. The Council's response came swiftly and brutally. Enraged by the destruction of their ships, they launched a series of precision strikes on Earth's major cities. Lasers rained down from the sky, obliterating buildings and infrastructure. Millions of people fled in terror as chaos consumed the planet. Fires burned bright against the night, painting the horizon in shades of orange and red. Among the survivors was Grace Harper, who had lost everything once before. Now she found herself running through the streets of New York City, clutching a tattered backpack filled with whatever belongings she could grab. Smoke filled the air, and the sound of collapsing structures echoed around her. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered to herself, "Why can't we stop this?" The devastation forced humanity to confront the harsh reality of their choices. The war they had started was spiraling out of control, and the cost was becoming unbearable. Yet, amidst the rubble and despair, whispers of doubt began to emerge. Perhaps there was still a chance to seek answers. And maybe, just maybe, find a way to end the bloodshed. Amidst the ruins of war, voices of reason began to rise above the chaos. Journalist Matthew Klein had spent weeks traveling across Earth, documenting the devastation caused by the conflict with the Galactic Council. He interviewed survivors, soldiers, and families torn apart by loss. His reports painted a grim picture of the war's toll, but they also highlighted stories of hope and resilience. One of those stories belonged to Grace Harper, whose courage in the face of tragedy inspired many. Grace sat down with Matthew in a makeshift shelter outside New York City. Her hands trembled as she clutched a cup of water, her eyes red from crying. "I've lost so much," she said softly. "First my family, now my home. I don't want anyone else to go through this. We have to stop fighting." Matthew nodded, his pen moving quickly across his notebook. "Do you think it's possible? Can we still find peace?" "I don't know," Grace admitted, "but if no one tries, then nothing will change. Maybe it's time we listened to them and to each other." Her words resonated deeply with readers. Matthew's article about Grace went viral, sparking conversations about the true cost of the war. People began questioning whether humanity's refusal to negotiate with the Council had been a mistake. Protests erupted in cities around the world, demanding an end to the violence. At the same time, Rachel Morgan and Daniel Carter grew increasingly troubled by their role in the conflict. The success of Project Eclipse had given humanity a temporary advantage, but it came at a terrible price. Rachel couldn't shake the image of burning alien ships from her mind. She confided in Daniel one evening, pacing back and forth in the lab. "We're just escalating things," she said, her voice tight with frustration. "Every victory we win pushes them further away from peace. And for what? To prove we're stronger, smarter." Daniel sighed, rubbing his temples. "I know. But what choice do we have? If we stop fighting, they might destroy us." Rachel stopped pacing and looked at him. "What if they don't want to destroy us? What if we've misunderstood everything?" Her question lingered between them, unanswered. That night, Rachel and Daniel made a bold decision. They would try to uncover the truth behind the Council's motives. Using data collected during the battles, they identified a damaged Council ship drifting near Saturn. It was heavily guarded, but its weakened state made it a potential target for infiltration. With General Brooks focused on planning the next offensive, Rachel and Daniel managed to secure permission to investigate under the guise of gathering intelligence. They boarded a small reconnaissance vessel and set course for the alien craft. As they approached, their hearts pounded with a mix of fear and determination. Inside the Council ship, they discovered something shocking. The vessel wasn't a warship, it was a research station. Strange devices lined the walls, humming softly with energy. In the center of the room stood a large holographic display showing images of dying planets. Rachel gasped as she realized what she was seeing. The Council's homeworlds, ravaged by cosmic anomalies. "They're not attacking us because they hate us," Daniel whispered, his voice filled with awe. "They're running out of time. Their worlds are dying." Rachel felt a wave of guilt wash over her. "This changes everything," she said. "We can't keep fighting like this. We have to tell someone. Everyone." They recorded everything they could, knowing the evidence would be crucial in convincing humanity to reconsider its stance. As they left the ship and headed back to Earth, Rachel stared out at the stars, her mind racing. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but one thing was clear: the path to peace wouldn't be easy. Still, she clung to the hope that understanding might prevail over fear. When Rachel Morgan and Daniel Carter returned to Earth with their findings, they knew they had to act quickly. The evidence they had gathered from the damaged Council ship was undeniable. The Galactic Council wasn't an invading force bent on conquest. Instead, they were refugees fleeing extinction. Their homeworlds were dying due to cosmic anomalies, phenomena that humanity's rapid expansion into the galaxy may have unknowingly worsened. Rachel and Daniel rushed to share their discovery with General Nathan Brooks and Ambassador Laura Hayes. They set up a meeting in a secure briefing room, where holographic projections displayed images of the dying planets they had seen aboard the alien vessel. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the gravity of the situation. "This changes everything," Laura said finally, her voice trembling. "If what you're saying is true, then we've been fighting the wrong battle." General Brooks frowned, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. "Even if this is accurate, it doesn't excuse their actions. They attacked us first, without warning. They fired warning shots because we entered restricted space," Rachel countered. "And every weapon they used was designed to disable, not kill. Doesn't that tell you something? They didn't want to harm us. They wanted to protect themselves." Daniel stepped forward, pointing at the hologram of a crumbling planet. "Look at this. These anomalies are spreading. If we don't address the root cause, it won't just destroy their worlds. It could threaten ours too. This isn't about winning or losing anymore. It's about survival. For all of us." The weight of their words began to sink in. Laura exchanged a glance with Brooks, who reluctantly nodded. "We need to bring this to the United Nations," she said, "but convincing world leaders and the public to trust them after everything that's happened won't be easy." News of the discovery spread cautiously at first, shared only with key decision-makers. But secrets rarely stay hidden for long. Journalist Matthew Klein caught wind of the story and published an expose revealing the truth about the Council's plight. His article included leaked footage of the dying planets and interviews with scientists who corroborated Rachel and Daniel's claims. Public reaction was mixed. Some people were outraged, feeling betrayed by their leader's refusal to listen earlier. Others remained skeptical, unwilling to believe that the Council's intentions were genuine. Grace Harper, whose story had already touched millions, spoke out in support of peace. She appeared on live broadcasts, her voice steady despite the pain in her eyes. "We've lost so much," Grace said. "Homes, families, lives. But if we keep fighting, we'll lose even more. We can't undo the past, but we can choose a better future, for ourselves and for them." Her plea struck a chord with many. Protests demanding a ceasefire gained momentum, drawing crowds in cities across the globe. Even soldiers stationed on the front lines began questioning their mission. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, still recovering from injuries sustained during the battle near Jupiter, watched the protests unfold from her hospital bed. She thought about the lives lost on both sides and wondered if it had all been for nothing. Under mounting pressure, Earth's leaders agreed to a temporary truce. Representatives from both sides convened aboard a neutral space station orbiting Earth. The atmosphere was tense as Zoran, the council elder, addressed the assembly. His expression was weary but hopeful. "We came seeking refuge, not conflict," he said. "Our worlds are dying, and we believe humanity could help us find a solution. Instead, fear and mistrust led us here." Laura Hayes stood to respond, her voice firm but compassionate. "We made mistakes, grave ones, but we're willing to work together now. For the sake of all life in the galaxy, let's start again." Though the road ahead would be difficult, the fragile truce marked a turning point. Humanity and the Council had taken the first step toward understanding each other. It wasn't peace, not yet, but it was a beginning. Months passed after the fragile truce was established, and the galaxy began to heal, slowly and uncertainly. The scars of war were still visible. Shattered cities on Earth, ruined alien ships drifting in space, and families forever changed by loss. But amidst the wreckage, small signs of hope emerged. Humanity and a galactic council started working together, sharing knowledge and resources to address the cosmic anomalies threatening both their worlds. In a joint research facility orbiting Saturn, scientists from both sides collaborated on groundbreaking projects. Daniel Carter and Rachel Morgan led a team that included council researchers, combining human ingenuity with alien technology. They developed new methods to stabilize dying planets, using advanced terraforming techniques to restore damaged ecosystems. The work was challenging, but the shared goal brought people and species together. Grace Harper traveled across the galaxy, becoming a symbol of unity. She spoke at conferences, visited devastated communities, and met with leaders from both sides. Her message was simple: forgiveness and cooperation were the only ways forward. During one event aboard the neutral space station, she addressed an audience of humans and council members. "We've all suffered," Grace said, her voice steady. "But holding on to anger won't fix anything. If we can learn to trust each other, we can rebuild not just our homes, but our futures." Her words resonated deeply, earning applause from the crowd. Even Zoran, the council elder, nodded in agreement. Though he remained cautious, he acknowledged the progress being made. "Your kind has shown courage," he told Laura Hayes during a private meeting. "Perhaps there is more to humanity than we first believed." Back on Earth, public opinion continued to shift. Journalist Matthew Klein published articles highlighting successful collaborations between humans and council scientists. He interviewed survivors who had once been bitter enemies, but now worked side by side. One story featured Lieutenant Sarah Bennett, who had returned to duty as part of a joint patrol unit. She admitted she had initially distrusted her alien counterparts, but grew to respect their dedication. "They're not so different from us," Sarah said. "They've lost people too. And they want the same thing we do, a chance to survive." Despite these positive developments, tensions lingered beneath the surface. Some factions within humanity refused to accept the Council's presence, viewing them as a threat that could never truly be trusted. General Nathan Brooks struggled with his own doubts, though he kept them hidden. He knew the truce was fragile, and feared another mistake could reignite the conflict. Rachel and Daniel remained vigilant, aware that the road to peace was fraught with challenges. Late one night, as they reviewed data in their lab, Rachel voiced her concerns. "Do you think this will last, or are we just delaying the inevitable?" Daniel paused, looking at the glowing screen. "I don't know, but even if it doesn't, we've proven something important, that understanding is possible, even after everything we've done." Their determination inspired others to keep pushing for change. Joint initiatives expanded beyond science, with cultural exchanges helping bridge the gap between species. Humans learned about council traditions, art, and history, while the council gained insight into human creativity and resilience. Slowly, walls of mistrust began to crumble. Though challenges remained, the galaxy took its first steps toward coexistence. It wasn't perfect, and it wasn't easy. But for the first time in years, there was hope, a fragile, flickering light in the vast darkness of space. Years passed since the truce between humanity and the Galactic Council, and the galaxy began to change in ways no one had imagined. The scars of war still lingered, but they were slowly being replaced by signs of progress and unity. Earth's cities were rebuilt, not just as they had been before, but with new technologies shared by the Council. Skyscrapers gleamed with energy-efficient materials, and clean power sources powered homes and businesses. Humanity had learned from its mistakes, and the lessons of cooperation guided their actions. Daniel Carter and Rachel Morgan continued their work alongside Council scientists, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Their efforts led to breakthroughs that benefited everyone. New methods for sustainable energy production helped restore damaged ecosystems on both human and council worlds. Together, they planted forests on barren moons and revived oceans on dying planets. Each success brought the two species closer, proving that collaboration could achieve more than conflict ever could. Grace Harper became a global and intergalactic figure of peace. Her travels took her farther than she had ever dreamed, introducing her to cultures and traditions she once thought unimaginable. She worked tirelessly to promote understanding, organizing events where humans and council members shared stories, music, and art. At one gathering, she stood beside Zoran, the council elder, as he addressed a crowd of thousands. "We have much to learn from each other," Zoran said, his voice calm but filled with emotion. "Your resilience inspires us, and we hope our wisdom can guide you. Together, we can build something greater than either of us could alone." Grace smiled, feeling a sense of pride she hadn't known was possible. "This is just the beginning," she told the audience. "Every step we take toward understanding brings us closer to a brighter future, for all of us." Back on Earth, General Nathan Brooks retired from active duty, though he remained an advisor to Earth's leaders. He often reflected on the war and the choices he had made. While he still carried doubts about the Council's intentions, he couldn't deny the progress they had achieved together. During a quiet evening at home, he watched news reports about joint missions exploring distant star systems. For the first time in years, he felt a glimmer of hope. Lieutenant Sarah Bennett also found a new purpose. After serving in joint patrol units, she transitioned to training young pilots, both human and alien. Her students admired her skill and dedication, and she taught them the importance of trust and teamwork. "The galaxy is big enough for all of us," she often said. "We don't have to fight for space. We can share it." Even journalist Matthew Klein shifted his focus, writing stories that celebrated unity instead of division. His articles highlighted the successes of human council partnerships, inspiring others to embrace change. One piece featured a young girl named Lily, who grew up learning council languages and customs alongside her own. "I don't see them as different," Lily said. "They're just people, like us." Though challenges remained, the galaxy moved forward cautiously optimistic. Humanity and the Council had faced destruction and emerged stronger, not through force, but through understanding. They had proven that even in the vastness of space, peace was possible. As the sun rose over Earth one morning, Its light stretched across the planet and into the stars beyond. It was a reminder that while the universe was immense and full of unknowns, the bonds forged between beings could bridge even the widest gaps. Humanity and the Council had refused to give up on each other, choosing instead to build a future together. And in doing so, they gave the galaxy a chance to heal and to dream of what might come next.